Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace and salutations unto all the Akim, you brothers preaching this word in truth and in sincerity across the four corners of the earth. And shalom unto the hopeful elect, ye sincere believers scattered wherever you may be. All right, so today we're going to be going into the book of Esther. And the title of this one, Lord willing, will be The Story of Esther / The Lord Works in Mysterious Ways. You know, chopping it up with the brother Uriah. We were just talking about how, hey, that's one thing the Christian church does have right. How they say, let go and let God. Right, let go and let Yahweh Bashem Yahushai work. Right, because we get put into certain situations to where just for the Lord to show his power, to show that he's with you, you know, and it acts as faith boosters for us, you know. And just rereading the story of Esther is, man, heavy book, you know, and it shows you the irony, you know, the Lord, King of irony, and also the a beautiful story of deliverance, as well as you know, just glory and the revenge or avenge that we had from the Lord upon our enemies, you know, and how essentially Haman, wicked Haman, got what he deserved, you see, and he was humiliated before the fact. And that's exactly what he's going to do to our enemies soon come, starting with Esau, Edom, and the rest of the heathen that are over us. You know, they're going to be put down. So I wanted to begin in the book of Esther 4, starting at verse, we'll start at verse 4 and then just read down. All right, and Lord willing, this will be edifying and exhorting onto you. And I'm going to be bouncing back from the NLT and the KJV. Just because, as we know, the New Living Translation is more so tuned to how we speak now, you know what I'm saying, in modern day English. So I'm actually going to read this through in the NLT. And so we got a few precepts lined up. So again, Lord willing, this to be edifying onto you. So this is Esther 4 and verse 4. All right, it says, NLT, when Queen Esther's maids and eunuchs came and told her about Mordecai, she was deeply distressed. She sent clothing to him to replace the burlap, but he refused it. Then Esther sent for Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs who had been appointed as her attendant. She ordered him to go to Mordecai and find out what was troubling him and why he was in mourning. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the square in front of the palace gate. Mordecai told him the whole story, including the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. Mordecai gave Hathach a copy of the decree issued in Susa that called for the death of all Jews. He asked Hathach to show it to Esther and explain the situation to her. He also asked Hathach to direct her to go to the king to beg for mercy and plead for her people. So Hathach returned to Esther with Mordecai's message. Then Esther told Hathach to go back and relay this message to Mordecai. All the king's officials and even the people in the provinces know that anyone who appears before the king in his inner court without being invited is doomed to die unless the king holds out his gold scepter. And the king has not called for me to come to him for 30 days. So Hathach gave Esther's message to Mordecai. Mordecai sent this reply to Esther. Don't think for a moment that because you're in the palace, you will escape when all other Jews are killed. Right? Because Mordecai, being the cousin of Esther, raised her up, and Esther was also an Israelite. Right? It says, if you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from some other place, but you and your relatives will die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this? All right, and you could read about how she came about to that position in the previous chapters. And the point I want to hone in on was, who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this? Because we know that everything that happens within this world, within this life, within this walk that we're in, is all according to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's will. It has to be sanctioned by him in order for it to happen. It has to be approved by him, had to be written for it to happen. Right? It's the Lord's will. So that's the thing. She was put in that position just to deliver, you know what I'm saying? Or through, it's coming from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Of course, strength coming from heaven. But he uses different individuals, you know what I'm saying, to basically run it through, or to gear it up, get it in action, get it in the works. You see? And it's beautiful. Just like, and we're going into certain accounts, man. The story of Joseph, right? In Egypt, where the Lord basically put him in that position, promoted him to that position, and look what happened. He was able to take care of his brothers who thought, you know what I'm saying, he was he was gone. All right. Or the family, And that's where we're going in, like the conversation me and the brother were having. The Lord works in mysterious ways. You never know. Or in examples in within your walk, right? You'll get a certain job, and the people that you're around, it's all reasoning, man, behind the madness, so to speak. You'll come across somebody that may inspire you to go harder in the truth, or the Lord can make it to where you run across a person within your day-to-day, whether you're at the store or whatever. Just different things like that. Boosting your faith, right? Or sometimes he'll put the hell upon you in situations, and then we got to rely upon Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and that should be at all times, But the Lord will do that, send us like the reminders, that he's with us. Or to, snap back into it, right? Because we're still in the flesh. We go off, we got them spiritual lows. Or he'll send a brother your way to get you back on the right path. Different things like that. We just got to trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, so continuing on, Esther 4:15, it says, Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go and gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will do the same. And then, though it is against the law, I will go in to see the king. If I must die, I must die. And that's a woman of integrity. You think your average Eve out here is going to be within that, have that mindset? Hell no. Well, this is a woman of righteousness. This is a elect lady. It says, So Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him. All through the Spirit. Right? So And from there, let me go to one of my favorite scriptures, Romans 8:28. All right, it says, we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are the called according to his purpose. You see, everything works for or according to his purpose. This is Psalms 115:3. But our power is in the heavens. He have done whatsoever he have pleased, including calling us into this thing. And we have to be grateful for that daily. Easier said than done, because, it's a fight, of course. But always remaining thankful, man, and giving thanks and praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because he ain't have to wake you up, right? He ain't have to wake us up. Let's go back. Let's see what it says in NLT. It says, Romans 8:28 NLT, and we know that the Most High causes everything to work together for the good of those who love the Most High and are called according to his purpose for them. Okay. And what is the love, man? That we keep his commandments. Of course, to the best of our ability, we're trying to please the Lord in every which way that we can. Being in these chains of darkness, trying to do right. You know what I'm saying? Praying onto him, fasting when need be. Right? Reading, watching the videos, doing the videos, going to camp, doing the sit downs, breaking bread with brothers. Of course, showing that brotherly love. Right? Being obedient to parents. All these different things, man. Trying to please Yahweh Bashem Yahushai as best we can. And then let's go to Psalm 37:5. It says, commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. So we got nothing to worry about. Even though Esau Edom is setting up all this legislation and laws against against the small hatters, or making it to where threatening us with prison. Hey, we just gotta trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? And we don't have to fret about what he brings to pass and the different juices, right? The different pestilences that may come because of this man, right? The evils that he may be doing. Hey, it's prophecy. He was meant to do it, right? Damn, at verse 7, Psalm 37:7, the NLT, be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper or fret about their wicked schemes. So that's the thing. We just wait patiently for him to act, you see. And like how it's going to go into with the story of Esther, even though Haman set up the day for the massacre of the Jews, right, for the Israelites, what happened? He defended us. He defended us, man. You see? And that we got to have faith in that he's going to defend us in the times to come. So let's go to Esther 5. All right, let's see if I had anything more in here. No, that was the end of that chapter. Okay. So that's the thing. What Esther proclaimed to Mordecai, gave him an instruction, gathered together all the Jews of Susa or Shushan and fast. All right, them 3 days. And she had the belief, the faith that if she had to die going to see the king, right? If he ain't raise that scepter, so be it. And that's what we have to do. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to serving Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Because that's the thing. When we came into this truth, gave up our life, we count the cost. What's the cost? Our life. Because that's what it's going to boil down to. We're already sacrificing our life. You know what I'm saying? Making our bodies a living sacrifice. But it could very well be to where they round us up, you know what I'm saying, and you may be in line for that guillotine, right? And we have to have the integrity to, put our neck on the chopping block for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And so be it. If we must die, we must die, right? And Lord's will, we're going to be the first one raised. You know, and that's true faith. That's striving for the truth unto death. Being a soldier for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So let's go to Esther 5 and verse 14. Okay. And it kind of tells you what Esther had proposed to King Xerxes. Right. Asked him to prepare a banquet and bring Haman along with. Okay. And then Haman was basically, I said he was bragging to his friends and his wife, essentially. Yep. And Mordecai was basically not paying his respects to Haman, because Haman was set up to be this figure and people were bowing before him, and Mordecai wasn't having it. That's why that he set out that decree for the massacre of the Jews, finding out who we were and what we were about. Haman wasn't having it, and he became the enemy, and he is an enemy. He is a part of that wicked one, you know, wicked Haman. So, but let's go down to 14, right? And this is what it led up to. It says, so Haman's wife, Zeresh, and all his friends suggested, set up a sharpened pole that stands 75 feet tall. And this is an NLT, Salakia, Esther 5 and 14. Continuing on, it says, set up a sharpened pole that stands 75 feet tall, and in the morning ask the king to impale Mordecai on it. When this is done, you can go on your merry way to the banquet with the king. This pleased Haman, and he ordered the pole set up. You see, and he taking advice from his wife and the friends, right? So he was planning to impale Mordecai on this pole, right, on the gallows. You see, so and that's the thing. So now in verse 6, actually, and I'll just read from the top. It says, that night the king had trouble sleeping, so he ordered an attendant to bring the book of the history of his reign so it could be read to him. In those records, he discovered an account of how Mordecai had exposed the plot of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the eunuchs who guarded the door to the king's private quarters. They had plotted to assassinate King Xerxes. So in quotation, it says, what reward or recognition did we ever give Mordecai for this? The king asked. His attendants replied, nothing has been done for him. It says, continues on, Esther 6 and 4 NLT. Who is that in the outer court? The king inquired. As it happened, Haman had just arrived in the outer court of the palace to ask the king to impale Mordecai on the pole he had prepared. Verse 5, so the attendants replied to the king, Haman is out in the court. Bring him in, the king ordered. So Haman came in, and the king said, what should I do to honor a man who truly pleases me? Haman thought to himself, whom would the king wish to honor more than me? So he had that proud spirit upon him. That's what he was thinking in his mind when he asked him that. He thought he was going to honor him. He thought the king was going to honor him. So it says, verse 7, so he replied, if the king wishes to honor someone, he should bring out one of the king's own royal robes, as well as a horse that the king himself has ridden, one with a royal emblem on its head. Let the robes and the horse be handed over to one of the king's most noble officials, and let him see that the man whom the king wishes to honor is dressed in the king's robes and led through the city square on the king's horse. Have the officials shout as they go, this is what the king does for someone he wishes to honor. Excellent, the king said to Haman. Quick, take the robes and my horse and do just as you have said for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the gate of the palace. Leave out nothing you have suggested. And that's beautiful, man. That goes to show you, man, the power, the comical spirit behind Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, because what's the scripture say? Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So he put it within King Xerxes' spirit. Well, really, it was all the will that he even asked to be. He even asked them, what they say, his eunuchs, to read him, right? And it's a spirit that they read him that account just for Mordecai to receive that glory at the hand of the enemy as well. How ironic is that? The person that, or how Haman wanted to execute Mordecai, he was the one that paraded him around the city on a horse, right? Man, it's mighty. While thinking that he was the one that was going to get set up for that position of power. So what was that, Esther 6? So it just says an attendant when he couldn't sleep. Two of the kings. No, that was the chamberlains, the ones that were trying to kill King Xerxes. But Mordecai basically, he overheard that, you know what I'm saying? And then gave that warning up to Queen Esther. And then Esther eventually warned the king, you say, but did it in the name of Mordecai. All right, so this is the reward, basically, that Mordecai got. It's mighty. So it says, right. So it says, I'm going to continue on. This is a spirit I just kept reading through. So let's go to Esther 6 and 11, continuing on. In the NLT, it says, so Haman took the robes and put them on Mordecai, placed him on the king's own horse, and led him through the city square, shouting, this is what the king does for someone who he wishes to honor. Afterward, Mordecai returned to the palace gate, but Haman hurried home dejected and completely humiliated. Verse 13, this point we wanted. It says, when Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends what had happened, his wise advisors and his wife said, since Mordecai, this man who has humiliated you, Salakia, how will you read that, Salakia? Esther 6 and 13 NLT. When Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends what had happened, his wise advisors and his wife said, since Mordecai, this man who has humiliated you, is of Jewish birth, you will never succeed in your plans against him. It will be fatal to continue opposing him. And this is out of the mouth of his own wife and his friends. Basic, and prophesying the downfall of Haman to his face. Right? Thou speakest it. Their own tongues falling upon them. All right. So, Esther 6 and 14. While they were still talking, the king's eunuchs arrived and quickly took Haman to the banquet Esther had prepared. Okay, and let's go to Esther 7. It will continue on, right? Then we'll jump around a little bit. Esther 7 and 1 in the NLT. So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. On the second occasion, while they were drinking wine, the king again said to Esther, "Tell me what you want, Queen Esther. What is your request? I will give it to you, even if it is half the kingdom." Queen Esther replied, "If I have found favor with the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my request, I ask that my life and the lives of my people will be spared. For my people and I have been sold to those who would kill, slaughter, and annihilate us. If we had merely been sold as slaves, I could remain quiet, for that would be too trivial a matter to warrant disturbing the king." Verse 5, Esther 7 and 5. "Who would do such a thing?" King Xerxes demanded. "Who would be so presumptuous as to touch you?" Esther replied, "This wicked Haman is our adversary and our enemy." Haman grew pale with fright before the king and the queen. It says, "Then the king jumped to his feet in a rage and went out into the palace garden. Haman, however, stayed behind to plead for his life with Queen Esther, for he knew that the king intended to kill him. In despair, he fell on the couch where Queen Esther was reclining, just as the king was returning from the palace garden. The king exclaimed, "Will he even assault the queen right here in the palace before my very eyes?" And as soon as the king spoke, his attendants covered Haman's face, signaling his doom. Then Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, said, "Haman has set up a sharpened pole that stands